This is Rutgers Soccer Stadium in Piscataway, New Jersey, a college stadium loaded tonight with international flavor as the USA meets Australia in the Women's US Cup 95 series presented by Parmalat. A quick check of the standings shows Norway's on top thanks to a 12-1 win over Chinese Taipei last night. The USA are in second place. If they can beat Australia tonight as expected, it would make Sunday's final game against Norway in RFK Stadium a championship game. Welcome, everyone, to Rutgers Soccer Stadium. I'm John Paul Della Camera. The USA comes in off of a 9-0 win over Chinese Taipei Sunday. Tonight, they'll make 3 lineup changes. Normal starters like Kristine, Lilly, and Michelle Akers will return to the starting 11, but there will be a new goalkeeper. Normally, the backup goalkeeper is Saskia Weber. Tonight, she gets the starting assignment. Weber had a brilliant 4-year career here at Rutgers University, so for Saskia, this is a homecoming, and she's standing by now with my broadcast partner, Amy Allman. Amy?
Thanks, JP. With me is former Rutgers superstar Saskia Weber. Saskia, there's always a lot of pressure resting on the shoulders of a goalkeeper. Playing in front of your home crowd and your alma mater, is the pressure even more intense?
Yeah, the pressure's more intense, but so is the excitement and the energy. And I'm just really looking forward to playing in front of everybody, my parents, all my coaches from youth level up, and I'm just really looking forward to the game.
Tony DiCicco has mentioned that there are very few spots that are etched in stone as far as people to be on the roster for the Olympics. You've had the number 2 spot for a while. Is this an opportunity for you to solidify that number 2 spot or possibly take the number 1 position?
Well, I look at all my opportunities as that being to take over the number 1 position. You know, Bry is a great goalkeeper and it's a big competition. And I don't want to look at my position as, yes, I'm number 2 and that's where I'm going to stay. My goal is to try to start and to try to be the number 1 keeper.
Thank you very much and good luck. Back to you, JP.
It's a rematch of World Cup rivals USA and Australia and a homecoming for Saskia Weber when we return. The 1995 U.S. Women's Soccer Cup is brought to you by Parmalat, the best thing that could have happened to milk. By Beechwood Aged Budweiser, it's always been true, this Bud's for you. And by MasterCard, it's more than a credit card, it's smart money. Welcome back, everyone, to Rutgers Soccer Stadium here in Piscataway, New Jersey, and Prime's coverage of the U.S. Women's Cup. Tonight, it's the USA versus Australia. Along with Amy Allman, I'm John Paul Della Camera. We'll check out the lineups for the United States national team, and you'll see some changes. Michelle Akers gets a start, number 10. She replaces Debbie Keller from Sunday's game. Kristine Lilly is in. Tiffany Roberts is out, and there's a change in goal. Saskia Weber, number 1 in the nets today, replacing Mary Harvey, who had the shutout against Chinese Taipei on Sunday. The head coach of this team is the former goalkeeper, Tony DiCicco, with an 18-2-2 mark in full internationals. This is his 23rd game as coach of the U.S. national team. He replaced Anson Dorrance. For Australia, a team that DiCicco's team faced in World Cup 95, 2 outstanding young players up top, 16 Casagrande, 19 Clayton. There's a change in the back. Claire Nichols replaces the starter, Tracy Wheeler, and she's the only goalkeeper that Australia brought to this party, so she needs to maintain excellent health. The head coach for Australia is a former semi-pro and pro player in England and Scotland, Tom Sermani. He guided his team in World Cup 95 and hopes to be the leader for World Cup 99 and the 2000 Olympics that Australia will host. We'll come back for the kickoff next at Rutgers Stadium. Stick around.
Wild and hot with music choice, cable for your stereo.
Welcome back, everyone, to Prime's coverage of the U.S. Women's Cup from Rutgers Soccer Stadium. We're getting ready for the kickoff between the USA and Australia. Repeating our scenario at the top, a U.S. win puts them in first place in the tournament standings. And there's the person whose hopes the U.S. will ride on. Starting in goal, Saskia Weber had a brilliant career here at Rutgers. 34 shutouts was her career record. She also played in the World Cup against Australia. And this is what we saw against the Australians. Australia, Amy, actually took a lead.
The United States got caught sleeping a little bit, and they weren't marking up, but admittedly, Saskia would definitely like to have that one shot back.
That was a goal off the head of Lisa Casagrande, a 17-year-old rising star for the Australian national team, and she is one of their hopes today against Saskia Weber. That goal put the USA in a 1-0 hole. They rallied and won it 4-1, winning their group against the likes of China, Denmark, and Australia. And there is Casagrande. A lot of rumors about her. Some people say that there's a possibility she may come to the United States in another year or so and attend college.
If she does, I'd like to have the first chance at her.
I guarantee if people will talk to her. We're getting set for the opening kickoff. Good to see Michelle Akers back in the starting lineup, still recovering from that knee injury. It may take a few months for her to fully recover from that, but she's out there to give it a go as long as she can today. USA wearing white, Australia in yellow. A great contrast, actually, if you're a player or a viewer. Milbrett is pushed down, and we have our first foul. Jack D'Aquila is your game referee. Renderos and Amato are your linesmen. All officials are from the United States. Great college field here at Rutgers, and it's not more than a couple of years old. Linda Hamilton sends it long, looking in the air for Akers. Venturini can't get it, number 15, and it's cleared all the way back to number 4, Carla Overbeck. This should be, Amy, a tougher game for the U.S. than Chinese Taipei, certainly.
Yeah, actually, Australia gave the United States a much tougher game in the World Cup than they had anticipated. And hopefully, Australia, their main goal is just going to try to keep them without scoring it longer than they did in the World Cup. And it took them about 62 minutes before the United States scored their first goal. And hopefully, their goal now is to make that 70, 72, 73 minutes.
Number 6, Tan Darby. On the right side, Gegenhuber. This is an inexperienced side, but they still have a lot more experience than the Chinese Taipei team that the USA beat on Sunday. A very hot, humid night here in New Jersey. Temperatures around 90 degrees. And you can imagine how much hotter it would be if the sun was out. There's a cool breeze here and perhaps some rain in the forecast. It certainly does feel like that. The humidity is what bothers head coach Tom Sermani of the Australian team more, he said, than the heat. Throw in on the far side for Linda Hamilton. Most of these players for the U.S., at least 13 of them, have gone without a break since the World Cup, playing in the Olympic Festival, gaining some experience. Some just staying sharp. Humidity is around 65%. Wainwright, number 17, gave it up and then gets it right back and lost it on the near sideline. Throw-in coming up. Holly Manthei was going to take it. Instead, Thori Staples will get the call. Staples from North Carolina State, looking too long for Milbrett. Broken up by Australia. They look to gather it back in. Near sideline, it's Milbrett with goals in 6 of her last 10 games. Full internationals, that is. She also scored 3 in the Olympic Festival. Throw in for the U.S. All-time leading goal scorer at her school with 103, but just now starting to make a mark on the international scene. In for Akers, who heads it down, looking for Hamm. She will settle the shot that was blocked, and that's a great block by Julie Murray. Otherwise, Nichols, the keeper, is screened. Australia will take the throw-in on the far side. If you're just joining us, there is no score. We are about 3 minutes old.
You can tell just by the way Australia's setting up that they're definitely going to play a defensive game. They're not trying to play it forward. They're packing it in the back, and the only way the United States is going to beat that is by using the flanks.
Good wide field. I'm sure the college players appreciate it, but even more so the international players. And the men's international team for the U.S. has also played here prior to the World Cup. They played against Saudi Arabia. Cromwell giving it up. Left side, Milbrett pulls the trigger, but it's high and wide of the goalkeeper, Claire Nichols. But you can see with each game her confidence is rising.
Now, she wasn't able to get a whole lot of power on that when the ball was passed, so she had to slow up a little bit there, which causes you not to be able to get the power of your whole entire body behind the ball.
I'm anxious to see how she plays with Michelle Akers, because normally from the World Cup and beyond, she was taking Akers' spot. Today she's not. She's in her own spot, a spot that normally Karen Gabarra would play, but she is out coaching and also rehabilitating a back injury.
Yeah, Tiffany and Michelle probably have not played a lot together just because of that reason, and Tiffany's been on the reserve team for so long that she's played against her many more times than she's played with her.
She'll be headed for Japan. shortly after this tournament is over to play for a club side there. Cromwell sends it long for Akers with a header wide of Nichols, but she dives anyway to stop that. But Akers always strong in the air, and that free kick found her from Cromwell.
Undoubtedly one of the best headers in the world is Michelle Akers, and she's just warming up by this one. I'm sure there's more of her to come as the game goes on.
That time she was marked up by Allison Foreman. Tom Sermani told me earlier that it would depend on what the U.S. did up top and if Akers played as to whether or not he would have any kind of individual matchups. He was expected to play with a sweeper at the back and a 4-person backfield. So there's Tom Sermani talking about a 5-player defensive lineup that would play a majority of man-to-man, he said, and more zone when it got deep inside the 18. Talking about a 5-3-2 formation if he sticks with it. Mia Hamm on the right side, trying to sneak by Wainwright. Wainwright, number 17, up the sideline. That went out of play. Australia, though, looking a little bit more composed in that World Cup game. The U.S. dominated in every category of the stats, but still trailed.
Yeah, by this time last game, they already would have had about 3 shots rifled right at goal, and the keeper had to make some amazing saves.
Manthei with a throw-in. This was her first start for the U.S. against Australia. She missed out on a chance to score early in the game, but Tony DiCicco thought she played pretty well and wanted to give her another go. Played long toward Akers. That stays in on this wide field. Akers across. She was looking for Lilly. Instead, Cromwell with a give. Michelle Akers, number 10, on the cut to the inside. Lilly tried to fake that one and fake the defender out, but instead Australia took it away. We're in the 7th minute of the first half, and it's scoreless. The USA in white with Linda Hamilton on the ball. Australia in yellow with the green stripes, and Mia Hamm paid the price, as all good goal scorers do. Foreman commits the foul. Expect Australia to be much more physical than Chinese Taipei. They picked up 3 yellow cards against the U.S. in the final 15 minutes of that World Cup game. Those stats tell you why they try to stop Mia Hamm. That's in 19 games. Hamm sends this one up, and Nichols made the catch. Last time these two clubs met was in World Cup '95, and the United States had a similar lineup to what we're seeing here today, except there were a couple of changes.
Yeah, the only 2 changes as far as player personnel is that Fawcett is out now and Akers is in. It's the same players. Lilly was playing up front, and she's playing as a midfielder now, but the same players, and they had the toughest time getting a goal. As a matter of fact, they were down a goal into the second half, and as soon as they put Julie Foudy on and Karen Gabera, there was a goal scored within 2 minutes.
But that lineup that we just showed you graphically did struggle, at least result-wise, at the time. Perhaps a chance the other way. Australia with Iannata. Playing it back on the right side, lifted inside, Casagrande heads it down, and that's the first time a U.S. goalkeeper has used their hands in one full game, plus almost 8 minutes of this one. Mary Harvey never touched the ball Sunday against Chinese Taipei.
Now, Saskia had to be a little bit nervous about that one. That first save is always a little bit scary because you want to touch the ball a couple times before you have to come up with that big save. One of the things Saskia has to do in order to make that Olympic team is she's undoubtedly one of the most physically gifted goalkeepers the United States has ever had. She's a great shot stopper, great keeper at picking off crosses, but she has a tendency to have a few mental lapses now and then.
A lot more communication on the field than we heard in Sunday's game. Here's Milbrett looking for the give and go. Nice idea, but it didn't work from 15, Venturini. Back the other way, Iannata sneaking around Hamilton wide to the right side. Hamilton with a nice job to catch up and then knock the ball away, breaking the rhythm of Australia. Well, for a team that was going to sit back and pretty well defend 90 to 95% of the time, Australia have found their times to go forward.
And they picked a great time. Sometimes the United States has a problem. They get into the rhythm of being able to go forward at will and possess the ball, and they tend to get caught off guard. Definitely a good choice by Australia to play it forward. We had numbers down in the back.
Speaking of numbers, another good crowd here at Rutgers. Nice stadium, aluminum seating, so if the fans start banging those seats and footrests, you're going to hear a lot of noise from New Jersey. Rutgers Soccer Stadium, built for the soccer and lacrosse teams here. First-class facilities here at Rutgers. They've also got a new expanded football stadium, a refurbished one, where the football team plays. Down the right side, Mia Hamm trying to slot it through, but it was broken up. Stopped on the play by McMurtry. And now, right outside the box, they'll go with the advantage call as Manthei sends it. Hamm was the one that was clipped down, and Australia showing that physical play that we talked about. Tom Sermanni said sometimes they'll play more physical to make up for their lack of skill and experience elsewhere. It's not the way that he wants to play.
Yeah, they're not going to give Mia Hamm an inch either. They've seen what she can do, and they tend to get her right as she plays the ball. So she doesn't have, she's not very sturdy there, which is why she flew so far.
Referee's going to have to watch her. That's the second time she's stuck in on Mia Hamm, and she also received a yellow card, one of 3 players who got one against the USA in World Cup '95. Right side of the field, Australia has the pass blocked. Amanda Cromwell starting in Julie Foudy's spot. Foudy was married this past weekend. Kristine Lilly was part of that wedding party, and now she has returned to the USA lineup, where she leads this team in all-time caps with 96. Cromwell will throw in. She'll get it back. She's from the University of Virginia originally. Has been out of college for a few years now. Here's Lilly sending it inside. Chested down. That was dangerous. You had Venturini there to set up. Right side, Akers in the box. Akers in the cut to the left side. Drills the shot. Well, I'll tell you what, it may not have been accurate, but that one had the velocity that we did not see in Sunday's game. She cracked it.
A great hit. She was running across the field, not right at the field, so it's almost impossible to get that much power behind it when you're running right to left instead of straight at the goal. Great hit, and that was with her left knee. She touches it across, gives her some space to get some room behind the defender, and takes a wicked crack at the ball.
She was able to shake free from Wainwright, who was on that World Cup roster. 84 goals in 90 appearances, almost a goal a game. And the more you read that stat, the more you have to be impressed with it. She did not play, I'm sure she'd tell you, well on Sunday, yet she still gets 2 goals. Claire Nichols, not your prototype looking goalkeeper at 5'7". Want to talk about her when we get a chance later on. Saskia Weber, though, is the real story here in goal for the USA. There are currently 3 goalkeepers on the USA roster, and Tony DiCicco indicated today there could be a couple of more that would get a test before the Olympics begin. Mia Hamm, we had to change her stats the other day. Tony DiCicco, looking on, saw Mia Hamm score originally 2 goals and 3 assists. When they changed the first goal and gave it to Overbeck, Hamm got an assist, so give her officially on Sunday 2 goals and 4 assists. And even Mia Hamm couldn't trap that one. I don't think anyone could have on that sideline. Foreman's throw in with a knock to Wainwright, 17. Knocked away by Mia Hamm, who will give you that effort defensively as well as offensively. Some of Mia's offense also comes from her work on the defensive end and that quick USA counterattack that Tony DiCicco calls the best in the world.
A lot of the forwards are known on the United States team for being a huge defensive presence, and when you coach youth, sometimes they don't understand that. They think there's only 4 defenders and it's your job not to defend.
Casagrande on the giveaway. Akers will push back for Milbrett, and then Akers headed for space. Nice block there by Australia. That was Darby. Tan Darby that made the block. Hamm with a bending ball. Will it bend enough? Not nearly enough for Tiffany Milbrett, who was making that run. Look at Nichols. She's 5'7", and her coach, Tom Sermanni, says that she has a lot of power and has a great vertical leap, but she needs to improve physically. And I'm just looking. That's a rather different physique from a goalkeeper. Looks like she's on the heavier side.
Yeah, well, considering that that's the only goalkeeper they brought, I guess he's expecting to spend a lot of time on her and make her the one for Australia.
She's playing in place of Wheeler.
I can't say anything about the perfect physique of a goalkeeper, seeing as that I'm 5'4".
Lead pass the other way. Lilly walking in against Nichols. The shot off her hand and in. Kristine Lilly makes her return, a triumphant one. It's 1-0 USA.
Super pass to Kristine Lilly. When Kristine Lilly ends up getting the ball, all she does is run right at the keeper, and that's the only thing you can do to get the keeper to come off her line a little bit and give yourself some space. Keeper makes a great save, with the exception of she got her hand on it, but it still went into the net. Another great pass by Mia Hamm. She's accredited for yet another assist, and watch Lilly just head right for the keeper and then catch her moving.
And for Kristine Lilly, that is her 37th career goal internationally. In this, her 97th game. And how many times has she received a pass like that from Mia Hamm, either on the national team or the University of North Carolina?
You can even see at the speed that Kristine Lilly's running that she knows she's going to get it. She doesn't even have to wait for that to happen.
And this at Tandarby sends it long, and we'll see how that goal affects this Australia team, who I thought up to that point were playing pretty well defensively and were doing a little bit more offensively than I thought they were capable of this early. Foul called as Akers was brought down. Michelle is fully recovered from the concussion suffered at the World Cup, and the Epstein-Barr virus appears to be under control. It's not something that you could say is cured, but it's controlled right now. Now it's just the knee that has to get to 100%. Carla Overbeck, number 4, team captain, lofts it off the left foot. Inside off a bounce. Nichols had to get that because Venturini was right there on the doorstep. Claire Nichols is the only goalkeeper that Amy Allman mentioned was brought here. And if you're wondering who would probably play goal, I asked that of Coach Shamani, and he said probably Lizzie Clayton, but he's got his fingers crossed. He can only bring 16 players. Budgetary reasons prevented him from bringing more. He decided to go with the one keeper. Akers into space. Hamm will break through, blocked. And it's cleared away. Corner kick coming up, but Mia Hamm almost exploded through there.
Great defensive presence, too, by Australia. They had 2 players right there. The minute she got the ball, they pounced on her. Good ball. Mia was in. She beat the defense initially, and then they did a great job of attacking her and letting her not play the ball as comfortably as she would like to have.
Corner kick coming up. Mia Hamm will take it in the 17th minute. Lilly with the only goal of the game thus far for the USA. Inside the box, headed down by Venturini, who has been one of the hot players on this side with 5 goals in her last 4 games, scoring in 3 of those 4, including the hat trick Sunday in New Britain. Number 15, Tisha Venturini. Nichols ready to put it in play. The World Cup scoring leaders, look at who they were. Lilly, Milbrett, and Venturini. The triple-edged sword combined only had 2, and part of that was Gabera's back injury. Of course, Akers only played in a couple of games, and that had an effect, had to have, on Mia Hamm, the reason she only got 2.
Yeah, and I think the other 3 players that are stepping up, that's great for them. That's something that they're going to have to do when the Olympics rolls around. Tiffany Milbrett, even though she didn't get a goal against Taipei, she was in charge of 3 of them. They fouled her twice, one for a free kick that went in and one for a penalty kick, and then she was the assist man for another goal that Hamm ended up finishing off.
The 3 players who led the team in scoring during the World Cup have continued their fine play. Hamilton defending and knocked it away from Lizzie Clayton. Australia will have the ball. Wainwright ready to toss in. That's Clayton, number 19, looking for the pass. Instead, it went the other way to Iannata. Staples with a block. Casagrande, all of 5'2", yet she gets in the air in a hurry and has a lot of power on those headers. You saw her score a goal earlier when we replayed her goal from World Cup '95. Number 16, just turned 17 years old.
About 4 fouls on her already.
Free kick coming up. There's Casagrande getting back in position. If Staples is on her, that would be quite a matchup, speed for speed.
Staples is definitely the fastest person on the United States team.
Staples was mostly a substitute during World Cup '95. Her and Hamilton appear to be vying for one starting spot. That may be the case again for the Olympics. Lead pass the other way. Lilly will bring it down off the chest. Nice turn. Kristine Lilly drills it to the far post, but it's just too far for Venturini. But again, it shows the great playmaking skills of number 13, Kristine Lilly from Wilton, Connecticut.
Another reason that Lilly, Milbrett, and Venturini might be responsible for more of the goals is just their youth. They are now able to run for 90 minutes, just like Karen Gabera, Michelle Akers, and Mia Hamm could 3 or 4 years ago. And even though they're getting older, they're still just as good experience-wise, but the game, they've evolutionized. Their experience will help them, where now the body type of the younger players will help them a little bit more.
Another foul. Look who's down again. Mia Hamm. They've really put a bullseye in her back, and Foreman again was in on that coverage. Well, if you're going to beat her today, you're going to have to work extra hard. Keep both eyes open. But normally the great players like Mia Hamm get their revenge by sticking the ball in the back of the net. Lilly and Akers over the ball. This is within scoring distance for either of these players. We've seen it at the World Cup, and Lilly again tried to deliver a similar play during the World Cup she scored on a free kick from distance. Australia right now with 6 fouls to the USA 1. Part of that strategy that we did expect, that physical play. Wainwright, 17. USA not used to the physical play, certainly from Sunday's game. There were a total of 16 fouls in that Chinese Taipei game. Long toss in. Blocked by Manthei and Hamilton. Cromwell will send it back to Overbeck. Swung wide to Kristine Lilly, who's also a very versatile player. You could put her anywhere except for goal, and she could get it done. Milbrett on the left. 16 in white for the USA. Sends it across for Akers. She tried it one time, and it was blocked. Here's a shot, Cromwell. And you've got to like the way Amanda Cromwell, who normally gives you that defensive play, stepped in, a role that someone like Foudy, whose spot she took, would have done.
And not a lot of people notice Cromwell because she does simple things, and she's not a flashy player, but she basically gets the job done. She's more of a defensive presence on this team than an attacking one, but here, as you can see, she knows how to rip a ball.
Amanda Cromwell played under assistant coach Lauren Gregg at Virginia. Now Lauren has her again as the assistant, one of 2 assistants with the national team, April Heinrichs being the other. Cromwell starting today in place of Julie Foudy, who was a World Cup starter.
She's also one of the players that you have to root for to make that Olympic squad. She's been on the bubble for about 6 years now, and she works her butt off every single practice. She's very versatile. She knows how to defend. She knows how to shoot. She can play sweeper. She can do just about everything.
Michelle Watson will send it for Iannata. She's brought down, and then Staples sticks in on Casagrande. So the USA dishes it out. Oh, and a quick restart. Great idea to Lizzie Clayton, and that's something we didn't see during World Cup '95 from Australia. So, yes, they're learning.
And you can tell the United States wasn't ready for it either. That's something that, at the international level, you have to give every team respect. And to me, it just looked like they weren't ready for Australia to play the quick counter.
Definitely weren't. Saskia Weber back in goal for the U.S. You could hear it sounded like Tony DiCicco saying, be alert on that, watch your side.
Right now they have 2 players very wide on either side, and they may choose to bend the ball into one of them.
Long shot by Watson. Right at Weber. She lost the rebound. There's the tie goal. 1-1 is your score. Looked like Iannata came streaking through. And it is Angela Iannata to tie it up on a shot that fooled Saskia Weber. It had power, but it also had some spin to it.
Oh, Saskia Weber definitely should have had that one. That's right in the old breadbasket there. She needs to catch that. She can't even get up quick enough to make a second save. The United States was holding a line to give Saskia enough space to see the shot.
Iannata off the Watson kick in the 23rd minute. So it's all even now at 1. Gotta like what I've seen so far from Australia. Tony DiCicco may not be happy with what he's seen from the U.S. in terms of giving up that goal, but Australia has improved even from World Cup '95.
I know when he talked to the players, he said he didn't want them expecting Australia to already have 1 foot on the plane on their way home. And the minute you think that even for a second, you're going to be in trouble.
Akers is brought down. Well, Australia didn't come here for a vacation. I love to lay out like that so everybody can hear. He told the ref to bring up a card, then he mumbled something else. I know you were listening in.
Yet every time Ionata's been anywhere near the ball, whoever the United States is also near it seems to get a foul. I believe that's about her 6th foul alone.
Who's going to take it? Mia Hamm with a great strike. What a goal! Mia Hamm from about 35 yards out. 2-1 USA. That is an impact player and an impact kick.
The United States is so good at these free kicks, and I was about to say Australia better watch it with all those fouls because the United States is bound to get one in sooner or later. Mia Hamm just takes a straight run onto it, follows it through. The keeper attempts to make a save, but it's right where she can't get it.
She knew if that were a baseball that she hit, she knew it was out of the park.
That was one for Saskia.
I know we don't have a radar gun for this game, but can you take an educated guess at how fast that ball could have been going? That was a rocket.
You know, I've never had it clocked, but I have to say over 50 miles an hour. That's ours.
They're giving, as we did earlier, the assist to Michelle Watson on the Ionata goal. And now Hamm in the 25th minute scores again. And for Mia Hamm, internationally speaking, her 52nd goal. Long toss in by Australia. This is the second time that the Aussies have trailed here. And we still have 19 minutes to go in this first half, but they have played a much better brand of soccer. Foreman sending it long. Overbeck got it. The linesman on the far side had the flag up. Overbeck slow to get up. She got crunched. Julie Murray will play it back. Wainwright. Murray, number 4, has been Australia's team captain. She is also a softball international player. Right up the middle, denied by Linda Hamilton, who played sweeper during the Olympic Festival, a position she hadn't played since earlier in college. Cromwell on the intercept. Quick countering idea to Akers. She'll spread it wide, right side to Staples. This is as deep as Thori Staples has gotten on the attack so far. She'll send it across. Akers cracks it wide of Nichols, who is in goal, as we said, for Tracy Wheeler. Budgets being what they are, Wheeler is a physiotherapist, and she was unable to get time off from work to come here for this tournament. Michelle Akers, though, looking much better than she did on Sunday. Much more nimble, doesn't seem to be in pain when she strikes a ball as she did on the 2 goals Sunday.
Yeah, I talked to her earlier today, and she said she can't quite tell what exactly she has to do in order for her knee to hurt, but every now and then she'll just hit the right spot with her foot onto the ball, and it hurts like anything.
Venturini was looking for Akers. Now on the far side, Milbrett will follow it up. Under 18 minutes to go unofficially in this first half. U.S. up 2-1. Look at Akers. Continue that look. Here's Mia Hamm drilling it. That was deceptive. I thought she was going to pump it in the air far post, and if the goalkeeper thought the same way, then it could have been trouble.
Those shots are always scarier than they look, just because there's a line of defense. When you see that line of yellow there of Australia, the keeper's screened and can't see anything.
Plus, going up against Mia Hamm, she has such a mixed bag of tricks. Some of those shots obviously are Mia's in the 11-2 edge, and this reminds me of that first game, except that the goals are coming earlier for both teams.
Yeah, I almost feel sorry for Saskia. She could have that shot 100 more times and she would save all 100 of them. And like we said before, she just needs to concentrate for 90 minutes, and she tends to have a mental lapse now and then, but athletically she's probably a better shot stopper than any keeper the United States has ever had.
On the far side, it's cleared. USA will knock it back the other way. Lifted by Milbrett on the wrong side of Akers. Good idea. In that quick pass up the middle. Australia looking the other way. Milbrett came back in a hurry to knock it away defensively. Now for Hamilton. Back for Tiffany Milbrett. She chested it down well. Venturini with a quick knock. Manthei. Manthei making around Foreman. Manthei went right at goal, with Hamm busting in, and Nichols denied her. Manthei from Notre Dame Looked like the humidity was really bothering her there. It looked like she was running out of gas.
Great one-touch pass by Venturini to get it through to Manthei. And this shot is much harder than it looks. Yes, you're close to the goal, but the angle she's coming at, the goalkeeper comes out and really makes the goal look very small.
Back in live action, Australia with it. It's a 2-1 lead for the USA. We're in the 30th minute of this first half. Julie Murray into space. Iannata coming through behind Weber, who's out, and Kristine Lilly will gladly give up a corner kick if that's the call. Now the referee's pointing at the goalkeeper instead. What a play defensively by Kristine Lilly after Weber got caught out.
Yeah, and she was moving. Early communication is something that can solve that problem very easily. Does Venturini want to pass it back? Does she just want to boot it out? As soon as Australia wins the ball, you need to see all 11 players busting it back. As you see, Saskia gets caught moving a little bit. She needs to either hold her ground or give some instruction to Venturini as to what she's supposed to do.
Kristine Lilly, great job again defensively, but she did that. She was a great two-way player at North Carolina. 4-time All-American. Foreman out of the back. It's a 2-1 lead for the United States in the 31st minute. We hope you're enjoying tonight's coverage here on Prime with Amy Allman, a former member of the '91 World Cup Championship team. I'm John Paul Della Camera. This is Manthei knocking it back now to Saskia Weber. Last year she sat in the stands as Brian Ascari got the call in what was Saskia's homecoming. She had never played on this field before because this field, being rather new, wasn't built until she had left. Look at Hamm busting for space. Her and Lilly just read each other so well. It doesn't matter which player has the ball. The other knows what the other person's doing at all times, it seems. Akers broken up on that far sideline, but the USA will still have the throw-in.
To me, that pass from Lilly to Hamm was almost perfect. I would have been so happy with myself if I even come that close. And you see Lilly shaking her head like she wasn't even near the mark. That's what a perfectionist she is.
They make the passes that others don't even dare to try. Venturini out after it. Knocked away by Julie Murray. Another throw-in for the USA, and Thori Staples will head down the line to take it as Venturini gets set up. She is probably the second best person on this U.S. squad in the air next to Michelle Akers. And they're both up there waiting for this, along with Lilly. And it bounces out of play. Normally, Carla Overbeck goes forward in those situations. She's back right now, right at the halfway line. Part of a nice crowd enjoying, I hope, the cool breeze so far tonight. Lilly in the 14th minute, and then Iannata in the 23rd tied it. And if you're Australia, the one you hate is the one you give up 2 minutes later after you seem to stop some momentum. Lilly wanted it on her left foot, instead taken by Milbrett. There's the shot right at the keeper Nichols. Should be the 13th shot for the United States unofficially. Hamm has 3, Akers 3, Lilly has a pair of them. Tiffany Milbrett with 103 career goals in college. University of Portland will miss her. All the way back the other way. They were looking for Clayton, who was brought down. A reminder to stick around at halftime. We'll chat with the leader of U.S. Soccer and the head of Major League Soccer to debut next April, Alan Rothenberg. That's coming up at the half, along with highlights and conversation. Here's Milbrett. Look at all the yellow jerseys around. She'll dish it off. Left side, it's Lilly. Holding outside the box. On the right foot, back left. She can hit it with either. And a misread there between her and the winger on that far sideline. Lilly did her best.
Great decision by Milbrett to get rid of the ball, but she drug a million defenders with her to sort of that area and clogged it up. If she would have looked to her right, there would have been a couple U.S. players standing there waiting for their chance.
She was looking for Akers, and at first I didn't recognize Michelle because she was way over on that far side of the field. Normally we're seeing her more in the center and right around that goalkeeper's area. Nichols will clear it out. Akers with a touch pass back. Venturini sends the long ball. Right side, Manthei. And the referee's got a push on Holly Manthei, pushing Wainwright, number 17. Holly Manthei had that great rookie year on the All-MCC team. In fact, the MCC Newcomer of the Year, playing for Notre Dame. Trying to make Notre Dame a national power in yet another sport. Hamilton defending. Sent forward by Gegenhuber. Now on the right side, Australia attacking with numbers, looking for Casagrande, and there's a shot and a score, and the USA got caught flat-footed. Absolutely no communication. Casagrande walked in. That's incredible.
Again, like you said, communication is the key here, and I can hear Overbeck calling something, but it was almost as the ball was being shot, and that's definitely too late for something like that to happen. The United States is flat, which means Saskia Weber has to step up a little bit. Carla is right behind the line of defense, which is fine if Saskia is up, and if you can tell the way she's facing is she's facing her own goal, so she's not in a very good position to get that ball. Hamilton is in okay position, but right here, the line of defense is so flat that all a defender needs to do is get a foot right in front, and that's exactly what happened.
Staples, Overbeck, and Weber, in terms of the three players, not communicating to the full extent. And the result is a 2-2 game. That's the most goals the U.S. has ever given up against Australia. That's an offside. The previous high was 1. And you know Tony DiCicco is going to be very, very unhappy about that. Defense has been a U.S. staple this year. Their goals against average is minuscule, and they've given up 2 goals to Australia. We still have 9 minutes plus here in the first half.
They're still one of the only teams that chooses to play with only 3 people in the back. And when you do that, you're always going to be at risk for a counterattack such as that one.
Full credit to Casagrande and to this Australia team. They're not timid. They're not tentative. They came to play here. I know that's a cliche. Here's Hamm coming through. Wide open net. Akers scores. USA are back on top.
Mia Hamm has so far been the quarterback of this team to create many of the goals that have happened. Maybe before the game starts, we should just tell Mia that we are down 5 goals and we need to get 6. She just reads that bad touch by the Australia player and passes it right to Michelle Akers. We saw the same exact goal in the last game of against Chinese Taipei. Great speed. She beats everyone and then has the knowledge and the composure to pass it instead of shoot something when you're so close to that goal.
Take nothing away from the USA. Great goal to get 1 minute later, but if you're the coach of the other side, Sermani, that's a bit of a lack of the experience and needing somebody to settle things down. That's the second time they've given up a goal about a minute after they had scored an important goal for them.
And it's so hard not to get caught up in the emotion of, I'm sure the coach is thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Boy, it would be great for Australia if they could go in at halftime 2-2. The minute you think that, it's not 2-2 anymore.
And a yellow card issued on that far sideline, I believe, to Iannata. She had scored a goal earlier.
That's one that's a yellow card that's been coming her way since the beginning of the game. She needs to be very careful the rest of this game because without her, it's not the same Australia team.
The one bright spot for the USA, they had an easy game against Chinese Taipei. Norway had an easy game against them last night. And if Australia continues to play the USA tough, this would set up the stage for the USA at least to be ready for Norway physically and mentally as Akers brings it down left side. Trying to slide it across. Australia looking to get it away, and Manthei pushed and didn't get away. Look at the quick restart again by Australia. They've been doing their scouting. Weber will blast it out. Intended for Akers, and Foreman fighting her up. Mia Hamm almost snuck through against the sea of yellow. Oh, Hamm with a clip from behind. That might be one of those paybacks. Trying to see if it is number 7. I think it was. If so, that's Foreman. Yes, that was a payback, I'm sure.
A lot of that goes down on the field that we probably don't even see. A little push here, and you're bound to get pushed back within the next couple of minutes anytime you get the chance.
Foreman has fouled Mia Hamm at least 3 or 4 times in the first half. It's a tough one, so I'd be surprised if that was an accidental clip from behind. Lilly on the left. Foul count is 7 Australia, 5 USA. Knocked back toward Nichols. She's pretty sure that came from her defender. I couldn't tell from this angle, so that's why she didn't want to play it with her hands. Throw-in coming up for the United States. Akers. On the outside, Milbrett. Right across, Lilly. Try to dummy that one through, it looked like. Now it goes the other way for Casagrande. Staples is back there. USA ball. Still have about 6 to 7 minutes to play in this first half. It's been an entertaining game to watch. I'm not sure if the coaching staffs will agree with that, but think the TV viewers would. Lilly into space. Mia Hamm gave it the chase. She has assisted already on 2 goals and has scored the other, so she's been a USA offense. She's the early leader, unofficially at least, for tournament MVP after a game and a half. Those are her numbers tonight. She's halfway to what she did on Sunday here in the first half. Hamm ready. Cromwell going forward. In the air. Venturini is there, hitting it down. Stopped at the post by Murray. There's where the defense helps the goalkeeper. And look at how quickly it's brought upfield to Casagrande. Iannata. And it goes out of play. Nice block, though, at the post by Australia. Back comes the U.S. for Akers. And Nichols got out there in a hurry.
The corner kick was a great in-swinger by Mia, and those are really hard for the defense to read because the ball's coming at him. And I actually think this ball may have hit the post. No, it didn't there. Good job by those post people that are hanging out there. You always wonder what they're there for, and rarely are they used, but when they are, it's always one that's going to save a goal.
I gave credit to Murray back there, but I saw her in the center of the post area. It was someone else on this near side that we were screened on and couldn't get a good view of, but she did save a goal.
You said Murray and I said the post, so
somewhere in there.
We're strike 2, yeah.
The director, I think, tells us there with that hint that it's Wainwright. We'll go with it. And Akers is fouled upfield. She just scored her 85th international goal. While some people are looking at getting 100 caps, pretty soon she'll be looking at 100 goals. 85 and 91, and this one's not over yet. Akers came in late in the first half of Sunday's game. We're not sure how much she will play today. If it's her decision, strictly, she'll go the entire distance. Akers over the ball, well within her range, and the Aussies know it as they back off. Here's Akers, right-footed strike. That one's too high, and it goes over the bar. And I'm looking to see if she's grimacing there because she did grimace on Sunday. What a player. It's going to be an awesome task. That's a free kick. That's tough in one respect, but it's got to be so tough to mark up on her one-on-one.
Yeah, she's a tough one to play against, and one of the reasons our defenders are fairly strong is they have to play against her every day of practice.
Clayton's pass cut off by Venturini. USA definitely want to take this lead into the locker room at halftime. 3-2 is your score. Look at the shots. Australia, 3 shots, and they've scored 2 goals, so that's efficiency. Akers bounces off, and they're going to call it out of Michelle Akers. And there's Foreman again in there defensively. A very physical player, and she does not appear to be very big physically. She's listed at 5'3". Linesman with a flag up at the other end.
Yep, she was fouled.
You can hear it sounds like Tony DiCicco's voice. Ref, she was fouled. Sideline is where it's at. Throw in for Manthei. Tony DiCicco. Next to him is assistant coach Lauren Gregg, and next to her another assistant coach taking notes, April Heinrichs. I'm sure there's a lot of note taking in this first half, and players will hear about it after 45 minutes. Milbrett, long distance shot, and that one goes wide. The U.S. knows that they played very well against Chinese Taipei, but it's tough to judge because Chinese Taipei was not a good club. It was a young, inexperienced team, so you would expect them to get those kind of results. I'm sure that Tony DiCicco will not be pleased with the 2 goals that the USA have given up for the reasons that they were given up.
And he's also getting a little frustrated, not just with the defending, but with the whole team. He was just telling Milbrett to play make. She's 40 yards out from the goal. We're much better than this team. We should be on paper. We should be able to organize some combination to get a goal.
Sent long the other way. Iannata in the air, and Hamilton hit her in the end, it looked like. Not when she was taking the shot. And this one goes out of play. I guarantee you something else the USA is not happy with: the amount of time and possession that the Australian side has had. I think they were hoping to use full pressure and be able to take that ball away and stymie them early, and it hasn't worked that way.
one of the things that Tony said he was trying to do was move their restraining line, move their back line up, so Australia would have less time and less space to play into. And so far, it's almost been to their advantage because they've played into that space behind them. We just saw that there on that ball that went toward Hamilton's player.
Looking at it from up here, why has that failed? What has Australia done to beat that idea?
I think they're playing very smart. If you notice, the midfielders and forwards are all going at one time. Well, their backs are, all four of their backs are staying back, so it's almost like 6 people at one time, and the 4 backs aren't really working too hard to get back or forward.
They're giving certainly a different look than they gave in Sweden just about a month, a little more than a month or so ago. Akers on the far side. Sends it across. Venturini was there. So is Hamm. Right across. And just missing. Right in front. To make it a 4-2 game was Milbrett. Venturini had the first attempt. Time running out here. We are in the final minute unofficially of this first half. Hamm, there's that defense that leads to offense perhaps. And a good comeback by Wainwright to deny Hamm, but she'll get a corner in the closing minute. These can be very dangerous. It's a 3-2 USA lead right before halftime. Hamm sends it across. That's not a typical Mia Hamm corner. And a headband of Casagrande goes flying. Thori Staples contributing to that. Again, we remind you that Alan Rothenberg will head this way at halftime. Talk a little bit about what's making news these days in U.S. soccer. And unless you don't subscribe to any newspaper, you got to know that Steve Sampson is the new head coach of the U.S. men's team, and his side will be playing this weekend up the road or down the road, however you look at it, at Giant Stadium. Australia with it. This is Foreman holding it. By our clock, we're into injury time. And that's it. First half has produced 5 goals. Surprisingly, 2 of them have come from Australia, and Tony DiCicco won't be happy about that, the way they were scored. There's your offense for the U.S. national team with 1 goal and 2 assists. Mia Hamm, again, having another outstanding game. Stick around. Alan Rothenberg and more when we come back to Rutgers. The USA leads by 1 at the half.
to Lucky Mike, 645 Prospect, or call in a phone order at 861-6874.
Australia down by 1 as we start the second half. What do you think the message was at halftime?
First of all, the United States definitely has to play a much smarter game. When Australia has so few shots and so many goals, that's a sign of them playing very smart soccer. It's not something that you can coach while you're on the bench. Tony DiCicco can't tell them what to do.
Played in front off a Lilly touch. And that one goes out. Kristine Lilly with another effective job. 3-2 is your score. The United States leading Australia. And look at the domination in terms of the shots. And the corners are 3-0. 15 total fouls. But you don't need many shots if you're going to score the goals. And that's what Australia has done. All the way down the left side, Lilly looking, tackled away.
Australia knows they're not going to get the ball and they're attacking half all the time. So when they go, they're very smart and they go as a team, all of them together, and that's what's caused their 2 goals.
Overbeck at the back, sending it to Staples. She remains out there along with Linda Hamilton. USA continuing to use the 3 backs defensively, which includes the sweeper, Overbeck. Here's Iannata, who had 1 yellow card and 1 goal in the first half. Blocked out of the back by Gegenhuber. Here's Debbie Keller. Drilled by Lilly. I'll tell you, that doesn't miss by much. If the spin of that ball goes the other way, it's upstairs in a corner.
During the World Cup, when they were in a tight spot, the United States could always rely on Cabrera and Foudy. Well, this time they're not here, so it's up to the entire U.S. squad to pull this one out for a victory.
Australia in the yellow uniforms with green trim, looking far better than they did in World Cup '95. And if you're a U.S. soccer supporter, you might say part of the reason is that the USA has let them. But I give full credit to Australia. They certainly did not come out in here intimidated or in awe of the USA, as I'm sure Chinese Taipei did.
Australia deserves so much credit when you look at how many caps Australia has versus the United States, how many international games they've all played, and all of that. United States should be beating this team fairly handily.
A little bit of a push off there by Lilly. Play may get more physical here, but I'm not sure who'll be more frustrated, the USA or Australia. Possibly the USA. Certainly it would be, I think, if the score continued this way.
USA definitely can't take their frustration on how they're playing out on Australia, because they're going to get called for it, and the referees are looking for it.
And this Tan Darby sends it long, headed out by Staples. Jen Lalor looking for it. Intercepted. There's a big shot, but it's wide of the goalkeeper, Saskia Weber. This will confirm the subs that we gave you earlier. Keller, Lalor, and Roberts in. Akers, Venturini, and Manthei are out. And this is Tan Darby up to midfield. Milbrett wearing number 15, Kim Milbrett, who came on as a replacement for Watson, we were told. Right side of the field, U.S. marching. Hamm gave it up. Debbie Keller, who had a big goal against Australia, lifts it up high, while the keeper, Claire Nichols, is there. Gotta wonder, Amy, you and I talked about this morning. Would there be a tendency for the USA to look ahead to Norway? Could that be one of the problems here today?
Well, I know that is one of the games that everyone is talking about, and it's got to be in the back of their minds. But I know that Tony has covered that with the team, and when I talk to them, they'll answer me, no, our first game is Australia. But you got to think in the back of their head something like that is going on.
It's human nature, right? No matter how many times you're warned of it. You and I are broadcasting this game, but you know, we've mentioned the Norway game. We're not thinking about it, but it's different. I'm sure when you're a player, you have a lot of time to think. Today, maybe there was too much time. Here's Milbrett, straight up the middle, lost it on the dribble, and then she got hammered. That was not detected. Play continues. Left side, Jen Lalor. Good at the possession game, especially off her left foot. Here's Mia Hamm. She's been on the offense. She'll take this long shot, but it goes wide of Claire Nichols. Mia Hamm having one brilliant tournament so far.
You can hear the entire Australian team when Mia Hamm has the ball on her foot. They all just scream shot at the top of their lungs so that everyone can prepare for it.
It'll be interesting to see how much room Hamm will get, how much Tom Sermanni will allow her to have, especially now with Akers out of the lineup. So the USA have a different look. And without Venturini as well, the two better players on the U.S. squad in the air are now gone. You can hear that from Carla Overbeck. Man on Lil, man on Lil. Now they are communicating, but obviously there were droughts when they didn't, and it certainly factored in on that last goal. Lalor. Tripped up. Play continues. There's Foreman again. Murray lost it. Lalor with a good recovery. Lilly pumps it. Oh, that one stung. A run for the ball, and Mia Hamm relentless. The two number 9s, her and Ianata, and there was a little bit of a shove, if you will, right back at it.
And there'll be a lot more of that as the second half goes on. Those two have just been battling it out the whole entire time. If one pushes, the other one pulls. And finally, I think Mia Hamm gets the best of her.
And this is Tan Darby, the most experienced cap-wise on the Australia side. And think about this. This is only her 40th international. She wouldn't even be close to the lead for the U.S. She's got about half the number of caps that many of the top U.S. players have, and she's the leader for Australia cap-wise. Lalor coming all the way back to the halfway line.
That's one thing Lawler's going to be asked to do. She's very good at possessing the ball, and would the U.S. like to score more goals? Yes, but the main thing is that they keep their lead, and that's why they have Lalor in there.
Knocked out of play. A USA throw-in coming up. Tiffany Roberts, California High School Player of the Year in her final year of high school ball. Here's a chance. Far post. Just missing Mia Hamm, who was making a run toward that side. USA leading at 3-2. If you're just joining us, Mia Hamm with 1 goal and 2 assists. Lilly has scored, so has Akers. For Australia, Iannata and Casagrande. 2 players that are expected to be on Australia's next World Cup team in '99, probably here in the States. Tom Sermani estimated for me today that only about 8 to 10 of his World Cup players would be on the roster come '99. And in talking about the Olympics, Tony DiCicco said the roster of 16 will not necessarily be made up just of players from the 20 at the World Cup. He's expecting to bring in other players. He's brought in 2 here for this tournament, Pierman and Grubb, and plans to bring in more within the next year. Right side of the field. USA on the attack, on the touch pass. Milbrett to Keller. Debbie Keller trying to bring it back and create some space, and now intended for Mia Hamm, who's offside. And Sarah Rafanelli getting ready to check in from this near sideline. She played the other day. She was right beside the 4th official, Tara Gertz. Into space, Milbrett chasing. And this at Tandarby with a nice recovery. She'll give up a throw-in, but that's better than what could have happened. A break around the defense by Milbrett.
Tandarby's been on Milbrett the whole game, and she actually was one that stopped one of Milbrett's shots, too. So she's been on her and isn't giving her an inch to breathe.
And that might have been the last we've seen of Tiffany Milbrett, because that's the substitution that they're trying to get on now. Rafanelli for Milbrett. So Tiffany Milbrett goes to the sideline. And now Sarah Rafanelli gets a turn.
Substitution for the USA.
One of the best things about this tournament, in not having a lot of your better players here, is that you can give a chance to other players who otherwise wouldn't have a chance. So you're missing some great players like Foudy, Gabera, Fawcett, and Scurry, but it opens up 4 other positions for somebody to say to the coach, look what I can do.
And it's easy for a coach to say you're definitely going to test these reserves out in a game, but when you have your starters there, you tend to change it. So now he has no option. The reserves are going to get a chance for them to show him what they've got.
Mia Hamm ready to take this corner. 3-2, USA leading. Hamm striking it inside towards that near post, and it goes out. Goal kick coming up. Still have a lot of time left in this one, over 34 minutes to go.
First ball right, first ball.
A lot of what this cup is gearing up for the Olympics, and this is our looking good roster. Even though Tony DiCicco says nothing is guaranteed, the only question on this would be Karen Gabera's health because of the bad back.
Yeah, and backs are something, too, that they take so long to heal, and you have to be careful, especially playing soccer. I mean, you could re-injure it turning your head, standing up or sitting down. So that's one that definitely worries me. They're not the same team without Karen Gabera healthy, and we saw that at the World Cup. She definitely did not have her best World Cup there, and I know we haven't seen the last of her, but let's hope that she gets healthy.
And even though, again, Tony DiCicco says there are no positions secure, Amy and I guess over breakfast and lunch, came up with that list of what we think is a solid 10 of 16, and there will only be 2 goalkeepers. Ball is coming back toward Weber, who's trying to be one of those 2. Clears it all the way over the halfway line and then must retreat. You know, for Saskia Weber's confidence, it doesn't matter whose fault it is, she can't give up another goal here.
Definitely, and even that, they won't credit her for a save on that, but that's the type of goalkeeping Tony DiCicco wants to see. And he said he was looking at some new keepers to be able to cover that area very well and that have good foot skills. So that's 1 point in her corner, but she needs to do something about those 2 goals. And hopefully Australia will give her another chance, because I'd like to see her come up with some big saves.
And this one is called as well for the offside. Sarah Rafanelli trying to help out the U.S. offense as they lead 3-2. Staples with a knock. Now back to Carla Overbeck. Nice touch from Lalor. Mia Hamm against Iannata. Oh, that's bad. Got to give a yellow. And she already had one, so she should be gone. No attempt to play the ball. She's gone. Her second yellow equals a red. I believe on Jack Tequila's part, that's a very good call.
When it all comes down to it, Mia Hamm finally got the best of Iannata. She goes right behind. That's a textbook call. The referee has to call that. She gets a yellow card. It's her second one of the game. She touches the ball, but you can tell that she's going for the back of Mia Hamm's heels. and Australia is not going to be the same team without her. Definitely a huge presence on the field.
Iannata, one of the better players, will leave. So it's an 11 versus 10 situation for the USA. Inside, Nichols got it, but the referee's whistle sounded before then. He detected some kind of a push inside. I didn't see the linesman with a flag up. There's Tom Sermani, not happy with that call. Might change his mind if he sees a videotape replay of it, or he might take it another route and say, hey, you didn't call this one, why call that one? You're a coach. Isn't it tough to please coaches?
Yeah, I've noticed that Tony is sitting down now, though, for the first time, so at least one coach is happy.
There's always one happy. You know it's a badly officiated game when one team wins, yet both coaches are complaining.
Exactly.
Lilly being pressured by Australia. What's this going to do to Australia? Let's talk about them defensively. Losing Iannata, they've played well. Now what do? They obviously can't lose composure.
Well, I think that they would be very, very happy to get out of this game with a loss that is 3-2. They can't be expected to attack half as much as they were, and they weren't much from the beginning anyway. So they need to play very defensively, not send as many people forward when they did. And basically, they may not be playing pretty soccer, but they're going to try to just get the job done. And sometimes that means just booting the ball, getting it out of bounds, and let the clock run down.
And how about for the United States?
Well, we saw the United States during the last 10 minutes against the Norway game when one of their star players went out, and they played incredibly well.
Here's Keller giving it up. Jen Lalor right back inside. Debbie Keller chesting it, and it's blocked, and a whistle came from somewhere, and the referee did not, or the linesman didn't have a flag up, so he's got something else, unless the referee overruled the linesman. Or did Debbie Keller touch it with her hand? From my angle, she chested down. Let's see what the replay shows.
Great little chip shot there, so it gets over the first defender, and the only thing I can think of is that her arm hit it.
I can see that from that angle. Good angle. Off her right arm, she brought it down. It looked like deliberately. Lilly inside the box. Here's Keller. The shot stopped by Nichols. Rather awkward for Keller when she got that ball. If she could have one-timed it when she had it, she might have had a score.
Yeah, and it would have been hard to one-touch that with 3 Australia defenders right on her. Great ball by Lilly. She's left-footed. She hits it with her outside of her right foot, which is tough to do. And Keller does a good job at least getting a shot on goal. You always want to make sure that something exciting at least happens from that. And if you pass it back and don't get a shot off, then it kind of takes away from your momentum.
She didn't get the goal, but she could have gotten a goal there or a rebound that could have led to it. Tell you what, when you look at the scoring summary, you've got to be amazed. It's 21-4, yet it's a 3-2 game. Basically, for every U.S. mistake that they've made, they've been punished for it. 2 of those goals, results of communications problems for the United States at the back. Normally, that's their forte. Not tonight.
Yeah, and we talk about them not getting scored on very often, but realistically, how often have they really been tested? I mean, how many times have Thori Staples had to take someone down in the box, or Linda Hamilton? And I would like to see the United States team get tested more and more, because that definitely hurt them when the World Cup rolled around.
Do these guys get judged in these performances?
As much, again, as Tony DiCicco, April Heinrichs, Lauren Gregg won't be happy with the performance, it is still something to see them against this kind of competition, and they're getting a better game, and it should bode well for Sunday against Norway. The question here now is, can they win this game?
Can they win this game? And Australia's doing the same thing they did to the United States in the World Cup. They're wearing the United States out, and for this Norway game, they're going to need every ounce of energy that they can possibly muster up, and right now the United States is having to give it their all.
They'll get 3 days off before they take on Norway Sunday. Great ball! What a ball from Mia Hamm. Long distance driven across, and it was whistled down anyway. The linesman had the flag up on the opposite side. That one stung Rembrandt, or Lembrick. And she's down. Mia Hamm drilled that ball as well as you're going to see a cross go on a drive.
Rarely do you see Tiffany Roberts get stuck in like you do here. She goes up, and she's looks much like the one that Michelle got hurt on from behind. They don't know it's coming, and so they're not prepared for it, and she gets whacked right in the back of the head. Both going for the ball, and as much as I hate to see the foul, I love to see Roberts get stuck in there like that, because she's normally a very quiet, non-confrontational player.
Well, she's one of those players in our other list, the list of players that are trying to make the team. She was not among our sure shots, even though she had started most of the games in the World Cup. But she's fighting for a position. Her versatility will help her
and she needs to be hungry. And I think this is maybe a message in that she's not starting right now. She's coming off the bench, and these players, all with college and high school backgrounds and a soccer background, know the situation, and they know subtraction. 20 from 16 automatically, 4 from Sweden don't go.
Yeah, and Tiffany Roberts, I think, is definitely getting the message that she needs to have a solid game. One thing that Tony told us at the sports festival, I was lucky enough to coach Tiffany Roberts or be the assistant coach, is that he wanted to see her play a little bit of marking back as well. So she doesn't even have that outside midfield position for sure.
Kim Revel comes in. She is listed at 5'5", 20 years old. This is only her 4th international cap, and she replaces Lizzie Clayton, one of the players up top with Lisa Casagrande. 3-2, USA leading here at Rutgers. Australia have given the USA more than a game in all aspects, and maybe a deeper message. Here's Tiffany Roberts, who will go to the University of North Carolina this fall, trying to help maintain a tradition, winning all of those NCAA championship crowns. The last time they lost was 1985 to George Mason. Right side of the field for the United States on the buildup. Looking long, intended for Rafanelli, and Australia will break that up. If you just joined us, not only is it a 3-2 game, but minutes ago, Angela Iannata received her 2nd yellow card, which equals the red, obviously, and so the USA has an 11 v 10 situation, which they've not managed to yet take advantage of. Of course, one of the elements missing, without Akers and Venturini, 2 great players in the air. I think an 11 v 10 helps when those 2 are out there. More options, especially up top.
Yeah, Tony DiCicco replaced, put Lalor in for Venturini, and Venturini is a very solid center midfielder, and she loves to attack, and that is one of her strengths, where Lalor just likes to possess the ball. Now they're down a man, and I bet you Tony wishes Venturini was in there just for the possibility of getting a couple more goals.
Unfortunately, the red card came after those players came out at halftime. Right side of the field for Rafanelli. On the cross for Keller. It's too far over her head. Let's go! And this one went out. Goal kick coming up for Claire Nichols. Goal scoring wise, Lilly got her 37th international in the 14th minute. Iannata got one in the 23rd. Hamm got one 2 minutes later, her 52nd international goal. Casagrande got one back in the 35-minute mark, and then Akers 1 minute later, her 85th international goal in 91 caps.
85 goals is amazing, but when you think she's been on the injured list for quite some time, she was out with a knee a couple of times. She was out a few years ago with a head injury, and the Federation wouldn't clear her until she was 100% okay, and that took up at least 16 or 17 games there. To score that many goals in so few games is great.
Those are not 91 full games. I mean, she got a half here. She got less than a half, or I guess a little more than a half, I should say, against Chinese Taipei. So those numbers would probably be even more incredible if you had it by minutes and averaged it out. That's a job for a stat person better than I. Australia tried to move it up the sideline. That was Julie Murray, knocked away by Jen Lalor. And as is usually the case, even though it is 11 versus 10, as Tom Sermani gets ready for another substitution, the U.S. has fallen out of a rhythm because of the substitutions that they have made.
You never know what a big difference it means. I mean, there's 11 players out on the field, and you think, what's 1 or 2 different players? But soccer is a team sport, and it takes all 11 players on the same page at the same time, and that is so tough to get.
Gegenhuber retreating now defensively, intended for Keller, knocked out, and the referee's got it as a goal kick for Claire Nichols, the World Cup backup keeper. And now you're going to see a substitution, and it looks like Bridget Starr, who will get her 5th international. Lisa Casagrande goes out. Starr is a defender, Casagrande an out-and-out striker. It tells you about the strategy that Tom Sermani is thinking about, but again, keep in mind he's got the 10 players because of the red card to Iannata.
Even with the 10 players, he has made one change. There were 5 people in the back every time you look, and now there's been 6, sometimes 7.
I agree totally with you. He'll be very happy to lose this game 3-2 rather than open things up. He told me earlier that it would be great to think he could open things up, but he knows he'd get buried by the U.S., so why even try it? He's come out with a good game plan here. But more importantly, the Australian women have executed that plan, and they've taken advantage. Their finishing has been great. Here's Hamm. It started to look good when she first drilled it. You wonder if there's any shots she can't make when you see the things that she has done on the soccer field. I could hear Lisa Foreman say, we've got 21 minutes, let's work. They're fully aware of the situation. If they lose this game 3-2, this is a victory in my book for Australia.
Oh yeah, and their coach is being very smart. He's being realistic. A lot of coaches will have the tendencies to say, oh, you know, what's a loss? You might as well just go for it. And in that instance, the United States would probably counterattack on that and score a few more goals. And then you go home on the plane thinking, God, I wish we would have left it at 3-2.
It's ironic when you think about it. In spite of the U.S. not communicating defensively, this could be perhaps a 3-0 game if the finishing for Australia was off. And instead, the finishing has been right there. Many times you'll see players miss an open net, but Australia, to their credit, they had the 3 shots, they made 2 goals.
Be scary to think what would happen if they got quite a few more shots. Good job.
Clear it out. You can hear the Aussies communicating, good job, good job. They're as communicative as the U.S. team has been when they've done it well. Not obviously in the 2 goals.
Oh, shit.
The USA bench looking on. Jenny Grubb in the crouching position. She got her first cap replacing Linda Hamilton. Sunday, she may be coming on. She's at least getting an individual coaching lesson there from Tony DiCicco. Here's Keller's cross, and Nichols was there, and she had to be, with Lilly right up the middle. Over 3,300 watching this one. Great field for college soccer. And for fans just to come out and enjoy themselves and watch the game. We saw tailgating. Some fans sitting on the opposite side where they bring their own lawn chairs because there are no bleachers. Just a great atmosphere. Lilly. And the USA up 3-2. Hamm almost got behind, and this is Tandarby. Under 20 minutes left now. And this one goes out of play. Throw in coming up. Hope you're enjoying our soccer coverage here on Prime. It's the U.S. Women's Cup from Rutgers Soccer Stadium in Piscataway, New Jersey. And thankfully, the rains and any potential storm that we were thinking about have apparently passed us, at least for now. All we need is another almost 19 minutes of this, and we'll be happy. And expect to see Jenny Grubb real soon for the U.S. as Hamm plays it back. Cromwell. Nice touch, nice idea, but it's over the crossbar, and right now we may see Jenny Grubb coming in. The linesman is trying to get the referee's attention, and it's going to be for Linda Hamilton when it happens. Corner kick, though, coming up for the U.S., and the referee's going to allow it here before the corner. Jenny Grubb in, number 20, replacing number 8, Linda Hamilton. And for Linda Hamilton, Thori Staples, Carla Overbeck, a much tougher game for them than the Chinese Taipei game was on Sunday.
Entering the game is number 20, Jen Grubb.
Here's the corner from Hamm. Nichols came out, and she did well with that because there was a lot of traffic, not only from the U.S. team, but a lot of her players as well.
Those are tough to save because not only do you have to watch the ball in the air, you have to somehow intermingle yourself around all the other players that are in your way, and they're all going for the same ball you're going after.
And we've got a player down in the box in the goalkeeper's area for Australia. It's Foreman, who has had a rough day, but a lot of it has been what she has dished out. She has been very effective in terms of her physical play today. And I think one of the more impressive players for Australia. And the injury probably occurred right there on the corner kick, although we didn't get a chance to see it live. Let's see here. Overbeck landed on her coming down, possibly with an elbow we can't see, but certainly her momentum crashed into her.
Overbeck was so much higher above her, I think it might have even been her head. Great save by the Australian goalkeeper, especially in an instance like this. Carla Overbeck is known for getting her head on every single one of these balls, and she just manages to get right in front of her just at the last split second.
Foreman being 10-2 now. The Chinese Taipei game was an easy one for the United States. They won it by a score of 9-0, and they did everything the way they wanted. It was a very easy game for them. Tonight, it has been totally different. In fact, in that game, they changed their strategy. They wanted to hold the line on 9 goals, and they were working in stringing the ball around as if they had either a 1-goal or a 2-goal lead. What do you think the instructions were in this case? They had a 1-goal lead, but how do you think Tony wanted to play it?
You know, I'm really not sure. He may want to boost the U.S. confidence, say, look, I know you can get a couple more goals. At the same time, this is a good instance for him to work on how to play with a 1-goal lead. And they don't get in that situation very often, so it depends on which way he wants to look at this game. Right now, it looks like they're going to play the ball forward and try to score a few more goals.
Keller with the ball, giving it up. Left side, Lilly. How she even spotted Jenny Grubb through all of that. Here's Grubb. Left-footed shot off the crossbar, but first the keeper got it. Keller with a header. What a shot by Jenny Grubb. We told you in Sunday's game she was a field goal kicker for a high school football team. You know about her power in that leg.
We saw her play at the Olympic Sports Festival, far and away one of the top players there. She stood out amongst a lot of the national team players that were there, and she can crack a shot. She scored a couple of times on free kicks from about the same distance.
I can't call it the save of the tournament because we have not seen every game, but it's the save of the 2 games that we have seen. Certainly that was a goal.
Definitely going right into the net. Keeper did very well to get her hand on it. Who's to say you can't be 5'7" and be a goalkeeper?
Not I. Anissa Tandarby up the middle. Still better than about 16 minutes to play, depending on injury time. Overbeck giving it up. Amanda Cromwell. USA with a lopsided edge in terms of the shots in this game.
Talk about Grubb getting thrown into the fire. She has not been to a national team training camp. She was asked right after the Sports Fest to change her plane ticket and come straight here. She gets to play in 1 game, but we were already ahead 7-0 by the time she got in. So now the pressure's really on to see what she can do.
USA getting enough shots, but nothing to show for it here. 8-1 is the edge in this half.
Deny her the ball. Show me you can do that.
All set for the corner. Mia Hamm. High in the air it goes, and it's headed down by Julie Murray, a corner the other way. Those shots show the domination by the USA in terms of the shots, but it's the quality of shots and what you do with those shots that make the difference. And Australia has managed to make the most of theirs. Percentage-wise, they're unbelievable. There's Julie Murray, the team captain. She also has worked for the Australian Soccer Federation. Hamm hits the side of the net and looked like she almost damaged it. These 2 teams are in a completely different boat, Amy. The U.S. players now getting paid. They're a funded team. The Olympics are coming their way. Australia, not in that same situation. Only could bring 16 players because of the cash situation. So it's totally different. Their players have full-time jobs. If they can come here, they're sacrificing.
And that might have a little bit to do with how both teams are playing. Australia really has nothing to lose. They're on this team, and anything they get from here is an added plus. The United States is just now figuring out what it's like to be a true professional.
Lilly. And everybody gets up to play against the United States. Even though they are no longer the defending champions, everyone realizes that they are still arguably the best or next best team in the world. China's up there as well, and Germany obviously by their finish in World Cup '95. Here's Jenny Grubb. The way she strikes the ball, you can hear her from way up here with the power. Staples gave it up to Lilly. Kristine Lilly in the battle forward. It goes out.
Jenny Grubb, keep the ball moving. If it's not on, find something simple that's on.
One thing Coach DiCicco is saying is just to keep the ball moving. What Jen Grubb doesn't realize is even though she has plenty of time and space, it gives the chance for Australia to set up their defense. Even if the ball is moving a little bit right or left, it'll give the defense something that they have to adjust to.
You could probably hear him say to move the ball. If it's not on, go somewhere else. Let's see if we can hear Tom.
Keep Sonia a wee bit where Lem's playing, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Sonia, you go in at right back. Okay, now what I want you to do is just defend what you've been defending in training. Try not to let players in behind you if you can help it, like that.
That's the voice of Tom Sermanni. We pick up action in the box.
Okay, Sonia comes into the sort of right side of midfield, and Lemo goes back to the left side of midfield.
Cross the other way. Lilly can't get it. Overbeck can. But this shot is drilled over the bar.
Okay.
Ready?
Well, Tom Sermanni has briefed Diane Alagich to come on, and maybe a little more talking to her than other players, because this is only her second full international, and she's coming in a tough spot. It's 11 versus 10, and her team is down by just 1 goal, and coach would like to keep it that way, if not get a tie.
And you can tell just by the coach's tone of voice that he's staying very calm and very soothing, and that's what you have to do when a player that only has 2 caps is getting thrown into a game that's very close.
Diane Alagich leaving the game.
Tom Sermanni looking at that clock, hoping that it goes faster than he's ever seen a clock move. Almost an error there. The new player, Neville, had just come on and try to make it happen. The number 10 player, Rebel, that is, tackled away from her on the far side. Australia in a different mode this half, but in the first half when they were badly outshot, they still had more ball possession in that half, I think, than Chinese Taipei had in the entire game. In fact, I know they had more ball possession than that game on Sunday. They just didn't have a lot of shots to show for it, but the 2 goals had to make the United States have more respect for this team than they didn't have before.
Every time we see Australia, they get better and better, and we have yet to see the United States with the talent that I know that they have, and it's just a matter of when we're going to see it.
Staples. Lilly. Australia coming back. Gegenhuber's pass headed away. She gets it back. Under 10 minutes to go, depending on injury time. And remember, Foreman had gone down before with an injury, so there may be some time added on. Saskia Weber is back for it. Right side of the field, Tiffany Roberts, who came on here in the second half. Rafanelli, likewise a second half sub to Cromwell, 19. Staples. I'm a bit surprised that even with the substitutions in 11 versus 10, that they're not finding the hole somewhere. They're not finding the seam. So consequently, when they're getting chances, it's not the way I thought that they would get them.
I thought they'd be able to just pepper the goal, you know, whether they scored 3 or 4 more goals or just 1, and they really aren't getting very close chances.
The chances are coming from long distance, the driven ball that Hamm sent across, the Jenny Grubb long distance shot, but nothing. That's Ianata, who was red carded. Nothing, Amy, in terms of the combination passes, working it up the middle or using the entire length and width of the field. If anything, you might think that they would try to tire out this Australia side, unless, of course, they're doing what you had speculated on before, maybe trying to hold on to that lead and not pushing forward, which could be.
And if they do try to tire Australia out, they're in essence tiring themselves out. And again, they have another big game coming up. So the first and foremost, keep the win. And it's not really like they're playing a man down in the back, because they have just as many people, if not more, Australia does in the back, and they're just losing a little bit on the attack.
All the way back, it is a Tan Derby. The last goal we saw was in that first half by Akers in the 36th minute. No scoring in this half. Throw-in coming up. Alagich, who just came on. Alagich had replaced 17, Sasha Wainwright. Staples is back for it. To Carla Overbeck. This is Cromwell, 19, with Roberts to her right. Overbeck again. This will be her 38th straight game, all minutes played.
She's also one that's going to have a sleepless night after this game.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen her play much better, and a couple of those services, I've seen her just clean players and win the ball. And this time she chose to just poke a toe, and it didn't really work out for her that well.
And I believe we might have had a false throw on that far side. Yep, that's what the referee is signifying. You know, I think about all the teams that I've worked for and, you know, the positions and all that, and I would say that soccer, much like hockey, goalkeeper or goaltender in hockey take the losses harder, even though it may not be their fault. They're the last line of defense. And also, in soccer's case, a sweeper and a team captain. So I'm sure Overbeck and Weber
will be among the most displeased tonight. But it's a team effort, win or lose. Crossed in front for Keller. Knocked down. And a goal kick coming up. Debbie Keller getting more playing time for Tony DiCicco's national team. She made a name for herself during the World Cup when she scored that goal, and Saskia Weber's homecoming was not as good as she wanted it to be. Even if she wins the game, you can tell that she'll be thinking about those 2 goals and what she could have done, what some of her teammates could have done. But again, you play that position, so you know what goalkeepers think about. Here's Rafanelli. What is this goalkeeper thinking about? Here's Hamm. 4-2, and that one shouldn't have happened for Australia. In the 84th minute, Nichols was coming out, and for some reason she retreated, and that's the reason for that goal.
Rafanelli does a good job getting end line, and you can watch her. She gets her head up and she looks right where she needs to pass the ball, and number 6 overruns it, and Mia just passes it right into the net.
From Rafanelli for the USA.
Hamm's 53rd goal.
You could tell she knew it was in right even before it got there. She was already running back to the half line.
I'm sorry, I was still talking about my other thought because I knew it was in as soon as I saw the goalkeeper retreating. For some reason, she started out and then went back, and she would have had time had she committed herself to getting that ball probably before Rafanelli did. Mia Hamm chasing it back. Mia Hamm's 2nd goal of this game, plus she has 2 assists. If the tournament were over today, she's the MVP. At least for the U.S. There are a couple of other Norwegian players that may want to argue that, including Hege Riise, who scored 4 goals last night, and Linda Madelin, who had 3 last night and 1 in the first game. Clear it out. And then punched back in, fisted in. I wonder if that's the next goalkeeper in the stands.
Sign him up.
Cleared out by Australia. There'll be a throw-in coming up. Less than 5 minutes to go in this, depending on injury time. And for the United States, right now, it is a 4-2 lead. Australia playing with 10 players since Ianata was ejected earlier in this half. Little push there from Ravel. Overbeck will get it. Lalor to Jenny Grubb. Mia Hamm, if you joined us late, has figured in all 4 goals. 2 goals and 2 assists. Milbrett's pass, and Murray was sandwiched by Lalor and Cromwell. Official time of the Mia Hamm goal, 84th minute, her 53rd international. She hit the milestone 50 Sunday against Chinese Taipei. She has scored this year what amounts to almost a goal a game in 95. She entered this game with 16 goals in 19 games, and that is her tournament so far. Right side on the attack. This is Alagich. Blocked by Overbeck and then dumped in. Grubb was back there when Overbeck was caught up a little bit. Grubb that is, played sweeper in high school. Weber sends it up. This is Overbeck. Straight up the middle, knocked away. Keller looking for it. Debbie Keller with good ball control, gives it up to Jennifer Lalor. Back for Lalor, number 17, the all-time assist leader at Santa Clara. Staples. Back it goes to Overbeck. Now with a 4-2 lead, USA with ball possession. This one is cleared out. Throw in for Kristine Lilly. We're down to the final few minutes here, depending on injury time, with the USA leading 4-2. And assuming that this holds up as it should, USA will be tied for first place with Norway, setting up the pivotal game Sunday
at RFK. Long cross. That's too far for Roberts or anyone for that matter. And it'll be a goal kick coming up. Mia Hamm, at the age of 15, was the youngest player to ever play on a national soccer team in this country, man or woman. We thought Tiffany Roberts was young when she made the team.
Must be nice to make the team before you even get your driver's license.
Hitchhiker practice. Cromwell. Playing it wide to the right side. And this one goes out. Throw-in coming up for Australia. The number 3 player, Bridget Starr.
The fans in the stands are screaming at Mia, we want a hat trick in unison.
Well, there'll be one coaching staff, or one coach happy tonight. Australia didn't really bring a coaching staff. Tom Sermani running the show. Got to be happy with his performance, whether he had 11 players, 10 or 12 for that matter. To lose a game 4-2 to the United States, if this score holds up, is a victory for Australian football.
No matter what happens the rest of this tournament, Australia has to know that, hey, they can play with the United States. Just that fact, and the United States is conceivably one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the world, no matter who looks at it, so they have to be happy.
How about their first result, losing to Norway only by 2-0, and now they get to play Chinese Taipei, so they could come away with a lot of respect and 3 points before this is over. They should beat Chinese Taipei easily.
Definitely, that should be one thing that happens. If not, then all of this is just gone. All of this was just a waste.
Played long the other way. Australia may get a crack here. There's the shot taken. And that sigh of relief you just heard was from Saskia Weber on the shot from Rebel. Weber will put it back in play. 4-2.
Again, Overbeck lets it go by her. She kind of shies away from it, and that's not like her. Saskia does a good job clearing it. She had it covered. Still probably a little too close for comfort there in the waning minutes of the game.
A lot to talk about when this one's over. We should be into injury time. USA 4, Australia 2. And the Aussies have come a long way in about a month and a half. Sent long the other way. Cleared out by Australia. Degenhuber's pass into the middle. Lembrick's pass to Revel. Wide to the left side. Australia now with ball possession back to Foreman. Foreman's pass in a space goes out of space and out of play. A USA throw-in coming up as the referee D'Aquila looks at the wristwatch. Rough night for the coaching staff of the USA, and it ends right there. Full marks to Australia. They gave the USA more than a battle, and Saskia Weber, like many in the U.S. squad, probably very glad that this one is over. Now officially they can think about Norway, but for the USA, not the kind of game they wanted tonight. They win 4-2. We'll wrap it up when we come back. The 1995 U.S. Women's Soccer Cup has been brought to you by Nike, the company that encourages you to just do it. And by Parmalat, the best thing that could have happened to milk. Welcome back, everyone, to Rutgers Soccer Stadium as we wind up our coverage tonight. It's a 4-2 final score. The USA has defeated Australia, but it certainly wasn't easy. I'm John Paul Della Camera, joined by Amy Allman. The USA, Amy, thought that they were going to get off to a good start in the second half when they went up 1 player for Australia after the red card.
Eventually, Mia Hamm catches Australia chasing the ball, and Ionata, one of their best players, draws a second yellow card, and she is out for the game. One of the few chances that the United States gets is this one here, which is started by Sarah Rafanelli, who's one of the reserves for the U.S. She takes it down to the end line, looks up for Mia Hamm. Mia Hamm slows her run just enough so she gets her foot on the end of the ball for the only goal in the second half.
So it ends up as a 4-2 win tonight for the United States. So that means that they're tied with Norway for the top spot in our U.S. Cup standings. So that means that Sunday's game will be for the championship. Join us then from RFK. For Amy Allman, I'm John Paul Della Camera. So long, everyone.
your typical